sure that you were at one point witnessing and was going to say, I could have had a VA. Different poem.
All right, I should make the wish.
Yeah. Let's see. Thought I had the page marked. I'm Alan Berrecka, and I had two parents, and they never really got along. And here's a poem about that. But I like this poem because, unlike most of the other argument poems, my mother wins this in a very subtle way. It's called Gender Differences. I will follow that pattern to some sort of conclusion. An epigram from Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper. After weeks of fretting, she had narrowed the option for the kitchen's new wallpaper down to 3 possibilities. Unable to choose, she turned to her spouse, who sat across a wooden table cramming down a Saturday lunch in a rush to perch himself on a bar stool miles away. He paused, looked at the swatches, and answered honestly, I don't know, they're all fine by me. But she wanted a decision and pressed on. No, really, which one do you like? Not quite entrenched yet, he replied, Stella, I really don't care. Her 3 small battle flags unfurled, she countered, Albert, you eat in here 3 times a day, pick one. He dug in. Wallpaper is wallpaper. It makes no matter to me. Ignoring all his usual warning signs, red skin, popped veins, a high, thin voice, she wandered square into his minefield and asked, well then, if you don't like any of these, what kind of wallpaper do you want? Then I want tits and ass, Stella, tits and ass. As they sat stewing in a superheated aftermath, she opted for the floral cologne. One of the English faculty here is Dr. Chuck Etheridge. He's a good friend, and Chuck gave me a rule a long time ago. He said, anytime I do a reading, I should read 3 particular poems, or at least 2 of them. So these are 2 of those 3 poems. The first one's called Skeleton, and it's about my parents again. Skeleton. As a kid, I always found it harsh when my mother claimed that if given the chance to live her life over, she'd become a cloistered nun. My father, an old dog, loved to roll in life's dirt. One night after I graduated from high school, my bags packed for college, he swayed up to me, a fresh Manhattan, sweating and sloshing in his hand. He offered me slurred advice. Kid, you know, if I could do it all over again, I'd have been an effing pimp. After returning from my semester abroad, I handed out souvenirs. I gave my mom water from Lourdes, a rosary blessed by the Pope, and a cheap t-shirt. I brought my dad brandy from Spain, a Hofbrauhaus half-liter Stein, and second-hand accounts of his World War II pig alley haunts. My mother enjoyed her gifts, especially her John Paul II t-shirt. He stood, arms raised and spread, glowing in black and white. That it was 2 sizes too large didn't matter to her. She wore it often and took to saying again and again, I can't believe how happy the Pope looks. My father, who believed only to a certain point, finally broke one night during our family meal. To her constant refrain, he shot back, for Christ's sake, Stella, I'd be ecstatic too if I had a tit me chan. My mother looked down. The Pope looked up, smiling, her breasts resting in his open palms. She said nothing. I brayed and snorted, laughing along with my bent and breathless dad. A few days later, the shirt appeared, hanging neatly in the corner of my closet. I didn't wear it much, and never in my mother's presence. And here's the other poem, on Chuck's demand, God's Radio. In religious ed, a nun once told us that we should always make the sign of the cross before and after we pray. The first gesture opened God's wavelength. The second closed it off. I wonder if the sister knew how many nights I would lie in bed, panicked, wide awake, unable to remember if I had signaled Roger now. Odds or even, heaven or hell, I crossed myself without stopping, hoping to land on evens or at least to interrupt the feed before my memories of Linda Yersoni's blouse and her fully developed 5th grade breast bubbled forth from the back of my pubescent mom. Even as an adult, I find myself playing the same game while hoping that someday I might cross myself one last time and be done with it. But the deep need to hide always follows in the name of the Father and of the Son. Pick 2 over here. 2. Sorry, guys. Poem about my mom, sort of. Mama tried. Riding home from Mass in the back seat next to my sister, I turned to her, a pink candy wafer between my forefinger and thumb. I said, "The body of Neto." She smiled, offered her tongue. Slap! My ear rang, burned, my face blistered red. Our mother, the nice one, was screaming in the bottom of a well full of stars, "You've gone too far, the sacred is no joke." My sister's jaw dropped. This Sunday, our priest lowballed the number of communion wafers, only to be confronted with an overflow crowd. He quickly began splitting each Eucharist into ever smaller shares, until we in the back pew crowd arrived to receive an hort of Jesus. Back on our kneeler, I whispered to my wife, "Body of Christ, my ass, I think I got a big toe." She laughed. I flinched. I wore this shirt because I figured I wanted to read a hockey poem. My dad and I would go to Clinton Comic games Friday nights in Utica. Clinton Comics played in Utica, go figure. Hey, but they played Saturday night in Clinton. Clinton last year became Hockey Town USA. But anyways, and they were a New York Ranger farm club, but it said Comets instead of Rangers. Anyways, like you needed to know that. But my dad loved to go to hockey games, and this is about going to a hockey game with my dad. Battle cry. I heard it said that life whittles you down to your core. As my father's systems quit, he was bedbound, stuck in a hospital, then a nursing home. He spent his days cursing the orderlies and nurses, telling every one of them that he needed to go home, while letting them all know where he thought they could go. When I was a kid, he loved going to Clinton Comet hockey games on Friday nights. He'd leave the sheet metal chops, grime, and puddles next to the bathroom sink, splash on a healthy dose of Old Spice, and then we were off to the rink. I don't know what he enjoyed more, hockey or heckling. Once inside the Utica War Memorial Auditorium, my father turned into a creature with leather lungs and the empathy of a sociopath. He loved to ride the officials. "What's wrong, ref? Your seeing eye dog can't skate? Then buy a cane!" Visiting goalies having a bad night caught it often. "Hey, have you ever thought about turning the net around?" Followed by, "There's fries at McDonald's, spending less time under red lights." He especially saved his wrath for players who got up slowly after it checked and milked the crowd for sympathy. They all heard the same fellow taunt, "Oh, did he hurt you, honey?" But after a few beers, somewhere in period 2, he'd start to really loosen up and let go his favorite phrase, free of vice he lived until the end. "Hey, yeah, you, if you can't skate, fight." Oh, cool. I'm done with the book. 2 more poems, guys. 2 new ones. I've been working on poems about work. I'm not a big fan. And this is the brand new one. It's called "The Comfort of Long Odds." Every time I hear him say, "If I win the lottery tonight, I'll be back on the job tomorrow," I want to scream, "Then why the hell would you even buy a ticket?" But some other more cool co-worker always replies politely, "Why is that?" To which the sad sack happily answers, "I just wouldn't know what to do with myself." To which I'd like to fire back, "Charlie, you need to get a life. Hell, man, live, play, read, write, think, travel, explore the world, and your soul before the rut your life is in deepens into a trench where you'll bury yourself long before you croak." But some kind soul always says, "That's nice, we miss you." To which Charlie replies, "I promise I'll bring donuts." Everyone but me laughs. I brood while wishing the jerk ill fortune tonight, because I'd rather not spend the rest of my life in prison, convicted of beating an idiot to death with a box of Krispy Kremes. And the last one's a little long. If you guys don't know, I'm a librarian over at Delmar. This is why I'm no longer a librarian in Waco. And how I earned the nickname Conan the Librarian. It's a poem called "Note to My Future Self." It's built on the idea that, you should be good because there's limited matter and infinite time. So sooner or later, we're all going to do the same thing again. And here I'm hoping to get this note to myself so I don't repeat one day and wake up. Note to my future self. The next time the universe and time conspires to bring you back to work in Waco at that library run by that maniacal director with an iron fist, the woman who fired your predecessor the day he closed on his house, the woman who just put into policy a draconian measure, a $10 fine for each library item that sets off the anti-theft system, accident or not, please be smart enough to ask the first kid who accidentally bagged books for his ID before you explain the new policy. This simple act will keep that look of hope from suddenly forming on his face just before he runs through the giant loophole you provided and out the front doors. Note to my future self. If you see the wily and wispy kid take off, do not chase after him. Or if in the white heat of the moment you feel you must, please remember you are now a middle-aged couch potato. Soccer playing days are long, long in the past, so do not attempt to vault over the circulation counter. It will not work, and your foiled attempt will give the escaping kid a healthy and unneeded start. Note to my future self. Cinch up your belt before you bolt through the library doors. Your dress pants have gotten a bit too small and will work their way down your ample Lucille Clifton-sized hips with each ponderous stride. So just as you begin to gain on the runaway and reach the brick stairs near the main fountain on campus, you won't find yourself running on the inside of the knees of your falling britches. So you will not learn that tripping down brick steps rip skin on knees and elbows and shreds pants, nor will you learn that pain in the sight of blood will kick in even more adrenaline as you tumble out of your literally half-assed Aikido rope. Note to my future self, do not vocalize your anger. Yelling at the top of your lungs, "You better run, you son of a bitch, because if I catch you, by God, I'll kill you," will not encourage a book thief to stop. So you will chase him through parking lots as he hides and crawls beneath parked cars in an attempt to get away, until in total desperation, he begins to sprint down the middle of the busiest street in town. Note to my future self, you are about to learn you have exercise-induced asthma. Your past athletic career, poor as it was a minor miracle. It wasn't a lack of conditioning that kept you winded during games. You should see a doctor about your lungs years before this fit sets in. So the rescue inhaler you so badly need will be in your pocket when you find yourself gasping for air miles from campus. Note to my future self, this time as you find yourself wallowing in defeat as you limp and wheeze your way back to campus, and that homeless guy with a concerned look stops you to say, "Hey pal, I think you need this more than I do." As he extends a dirt-caked hand that opens to reveal a Hall's Eucalyptus cough drop and a grain wrapper covered in what might be hair and pocket fuzz, accept his gracious offer. It will make both of you feel better. Note to my future self, when you make it back to campus, do not return to the library, for you will never be able to answer what the hell were you going to do if you caught it. And no matter what you do from this day forward in Waco, you will forever be known as the psycho-librarian who nearly killed himself chasing after a couple of cheap paperbacks. Instead, go straight to your car, drive home, apologize to your wife and kids, and contemplate a career change.